Chapter 151 Blast Away, Part 6. Xiandao was sleeping. He had a hard time falling asleep. Having cultivated to his level, his consciousness was incredibly clear. Coupled with his prophetic talent, his mind was still working even with his eyes closed. But under Shao Qi's massage, Xiandao calmly closed his eyes, thought of nothing, and fell asleep peacefully. Shao Qi is like Xiandao's magic pill. Boom. But at that moment, a tremendous tremor resounded from the World Avenue, incredibly loud and echoing all around. Xiandao had long since broken through the Hengsha realm, and the great Tao of the world was like his backyard, which he could visit at any time. So this shock woke him up. Damn it! Xiandao woke up with a face full of anger. He was dreaming of taking off Shao Qi's clothes, and was suddenly awakened by this shock. He was really furious. At that moment, Xiandao conceived the idea of killing the entire family of the other party. The next second, Xiandao shook his head helplessly, fully waking up. Seeing the blanket covering him, he felt a warm glow in his heart. Who exactly crossed over? Xiandao stood up, looking towards the direction of another world-class teleportation array in the desolate ancient land with a face full of doubt. The fact that someone from another field could cause such a commotion gave Xiandao a bad feeling. They seemed to have ill intentions. Old Taoist priest, go and see who it is. Xiandao immediately notified the old Taoist priest who was resting in his Taoist temple. Under a blue sky and white clouds, with a gentle breeze, the old Taoist priest lay there as always, sleeping soundly. Suddenly, Xiandao's voice came, startling the old Taoist priest. He opened his eyes in dissatisfaction and muttered, "Why was I so blinded by greed and signed that contract? I didn't get any benefits and just became someone else's subordinate. I've lost a lot." "What are you saying?" Xiandao's displeased voice came from behind. The old Taoist priest immediately said, "I didn't say anything. I'll go right now and take a look." After ending the call, the old Taoist priest sighed helplessly. "Go and make the trip. There's nothing we can do about it." Boom. The old Taoist priest rushed towards that world-class teleportation array. Before this world-class teleportation array leading to the battlefield of heaven and earth, a warrior in purple gold armor stepped out, holding a long spear that gleamed with silver light, and stood there calmly. He's waiting for someone. The aura of the 18th level of the Thousand Sands impacted the great Tao world. This was not a deliberate display of power, nor was it arrogance. It was simply to attract the most powerful people in this world and then directly inquire about the whereabouts of the person they wanted to kill. This is the most time-saving and labor-saving method. The warrior in purple and gold armor walked through the desolate land, his brows furrowed, clearly uncomfortable. Such mottled spiritual energy, such a dim world's path. No wonder they say the desolate ancient land and the greatly land are the worst. Even pigs wouldn't want to live in places like this in our eternal land, the purple gold armored warrior said disdainfully. The spiritual energy in the desolate ancient land is too mottled, the Taoist charm too obscure and difficult to understand, and it is also too rare. But to be able to cultivate to the Hengsha realm here is already quite impressive, the purple gold armored warrior muttered to himself. He looked around and found that no one had come. This made him frown and say, "Could it be that there are no Hengsha realm cultivators in the desolate ancient land? It shouldn't be like that. In such a vast world, even if the Tao is difficult to understand and the spiritual energy is mottled, it should still be able to support a person at the Hengsha realm." The purple gold armored warrior looked around in confusion. He still hadn't discovered anyone from the Hengsha realm. Little did he know, not far away, in a cloud, the old Taoist priest was observing him. Such a powerful aura. They're probably at the peak of the Hengsha realm. This old Taoist is no match for them. We mustn't be discovered. Let the boss make a move, the old Taoist muttered. He informed Xiandao. In fact, Xiandao was observing this purple gold armored warrior from the perspective of the boss. "Old Taoist, go down and ask him what he's doing in this desolate land. If he's here to kill me, I'll be there right away," Xiandao said coldly. carrying a long spear and clad in armor. He looked extraordinary and had been waiting here specifically for the arrival of the Hengsha realm expert. With such a clear purpose, Xiandao was now certain that the other party had been sent by the Manchus. Sending the old Taoist priest to ask is just to confirm things. In fact, Xiandao had already set off ahead of time. If he admits that he was ordered to kill him, then Xiandao will kill him too, so that people will know that although I can't do anything to you for the time being, you shouldn't treat me like a pushover. Someone at the 18th level of the Hengsha realm thinks he can kill me? Dream. After receiving Xiandao's order, the old Taoist priest felt bitter. Wouldn't it be better for him to hide here? Why let him go out and ask him what he's doing in the desolate land? This is the 18th level of the Thousand Sands realm. The old Taoist priest wished he could run to Xiandao's ear and roar loudly to vent his anger. But he only thought about it for a while, hesitated for a moment, and then obediently showed up and did as Xiandao instructed. The warrior in purple gold armor looked at the old Taoist priest with surprise. After examining him carefully, he said, I didn't expect that there would be such a master as you in such a remote place as the desolate ancient land. Master. A warrior with the power of the 18th level of the Thousand Sands said that the old Taoist priest was a master. The old Taoist priest had no awareness of being a master, nor did he consider himself one. He waved his hand and asked, This old Taoist is merely a person who has wasted his cultivation. May I ask what brings this powerful figure to the desolate ancient land? Kill people, the warrior in purple gold armor said bluntly. The old Taoist priest gasped. This was troublesome. Do you know this person? The warrior in purple gold armor conjured up a photo of Xiandao. When the old Taoist priest saw the photo, he shook his head bitterly and said, Can I say I don't recognize him? Lying is not a good thing, the purple gold armored warrior said calmly, his eyes lighting up. Where is he? The warrior in purple gold armor asked with a serious expression. He'll be here soon, please wait a moment, the old Taoist priest said after thinking for a moment. Fine, he actually dared to come. I'll think highly of him then, the purple gold armored warrior said coldly. Why did you kill him? The old Taoist priest asked suspiciously. I am following orders, the warrior in purple gold armor said coldly. What if you can't beat them? The old Taoist priest suddenly asked. Can't beat me. The warrior in purple gold armor sneered, confidently stating, In this small desolate ancient land, could there be anyone stronger than me? What if you can't beat me? Xiandao repeated these words, transforming into a sword beam and striking down. I told you, there's no one in the desolate ancient land that I can't defeat, the purple gold armored warrior said impatiently, looking at the old Taoist priest with dissatisfaction. Are you out of your mind, asking the same question to both of you? The old Taoist priest shrugged and said, Look behind you. What? The warrior in purple and gold armor turned around in confusion. A sharp sword aura shot out silently, striking directly. Boom! The purple gold armored warrior was instantly knocked away, as if he had been struck by 100 giant elephants. He coughed up blood, flew dozens of meters into the air, and then fell heavily back down. Click, click, click. His purple gold armor cracked inch by inch. Chapter 152 I'll Defeat You with a Gun. Part 7. The purple gold armored warrior was knocked away without even noticing Xiandao. Boom. He crashed heavily to the ground, his purple gold armor shattering completely. He coughed up blood and stared at Xiandao in disbelief. I can't even sense you. The warrior in purple and gold armor was utterly shocked. He never imagined that he wouldn't even be able to sense someone flying towards him and drawing their sword. This is terrifying. The only explanation is that Xiandao is too strong. The old Taoist priest was also astonished, saying, The boss has become even stronger than before. Wearing a dark gold mask and dressed in black robes, Xiandao walked slowly and asked, You just said that no one in the desolate ancient land is your match. What about now? The warrior in purple gold armor wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, glared angrily at Xiandao, and gritted his teeth, saying, You ambushed me. I'm not afraid of you now. Bang! He held a long spear, gleaming with silver light, pointing it at Xiandao, his aura rising. The warrior in purple-gold armor suppressed his injuries and began to go all out to kill Xiandao. Xiandao's eyes narrowed, and he asked, "Where did you learn your spear technique and its imposing aura?" Xiandao felt that this scene looked familiar. Just like the god of war Zhao Wudi he had met before. However, this person's aura was far weaker than Zhao Wudi's, and he didn't seem quite the same either, so Xiandao asked a question. "You have good taste. My marksmanship was learned from the lineage of the god of war, Zhao Wudi," the purple-gold armored warrior said proudly. "It really is Zhao Wudi." Xiandao realized. He had said that the aura was similar, but not quite the same. He must have practiced it wrong. You inherited it from Zhao Wudi, but you haven't even learned a tenth of his aura. It's crooked and awkward, not at all proper, Xiandao said indifferently. What a joke. I graduated from the sect founded by Zhao Wudi's disciple's granddisciple, and my spear technique has always been invincible. How dare you say that I haven't learned even a tenth of the founder's aura? The purple-gold armored warrior sneered, mocking Xiandao's ignorance and believing that Xiandao was just putting on an act. Since you claim your marksmanship is unparalleled, then make your move. Xiandao was too lazy to argue, and with one hand behind his back, he extended his arm to meet the enemy. "What are you doing?" the purple-gold armored warrior asked, puzzled. "You took a sword strike from me, and your armor absorbed most of the attack, causing it to break. You yourself were also slightly injured," Xiandao said calmly. "Therefore, I'll give you a handicap, without taking advantage of you." The warrior in purple and gold armor looked at Xiandao in surprise, then said admiringly, "I didn't expect you to have such a fighting spirit." Xiandao shook his head and said, "I don't have any so-called fighting spirit, I just don't care about you." The purple-gold armored warrior's face darkened, feeling extremely aggrieved. "You claim your marksmanship is unparalleled, but in my opinion, I could easily defeat you with one hand." Xiandao didn't take this purple-gold armored warrior seriously. If the other party wasn't Zhao Wudi's junior, Xiandao wouldn't bother wasting so much breath on him. Although he was Zhao Wudi's junior, Xiandao still wanted to kill him, but he would give him a chance to witness Zhao Wudi's terrifying Daoist aura. After fighting Zhao Wudi, Xiandao had completely figured out Zhao Wudi's abilities. Xiandao intended to use Zhao Wudi's invincible spear technique to kill this man who claimed to be invincible in spear technique. The warrior in purple and gold armor stared at Xiandao with fury in his eyes. He had been thoroughly enraged. "I used to think that Xiandao had a strong fighting spirit and wouldn't take advantage of him. But now it seems that Xiandao simply looks down on him. Is there anything more infuriating than this? Have." Xiandao put one hand behind his back and said, "I use a sword and I'm not familiar with spear techniques. I've never practiced them. I'm not convinced by your claim that spear techniques are invincible. So now I won't use sword techniques to fight you. I'll use spear techniques." The warrior in the purple-gold armor was enraged, glaring at Xiandao, feeling immensely humiliated. "You, who used a sword, have abandoned your sword and are now using a gun to fight me? You haven't practiced even once? I'm at the 18th heaven of the Thousand Sands realm. It's not the 10th level of the heavenly origin realm." Enraged, the purple-gold armored warrior roared, "Die! Arrogant fool!" He shouted this word with all his might, and then suddenly struck, his spear shooting out of the hole, the 7 strikes of the coiled dragon. In that instant, one strike became 7 strikes, incredibly fierce, carrying the rage of the purple-gold armored warrior. It enveloped Xiandao. Xiandao watched calmly, recalling the countless spear techniques Zhao Wudi had used during their duel. These techniques were all simple yet profound, each move designed to injure or kill. It's not as fancy, but it's much more practical. Xiandao shook his head and said regretfully, "Your spear technique is flashy but impractical, and it is a disgrace to Zhao Wuji's reputation." "Enough with the nonsense, prepare to die," the purple-gold armored warrior roared, extremely furious. "All right, I'll show you the terror of the war god Zhao Wuji's spear technique." Li Xiandao's eyes turned cold as he swiftly conjured a long spear, holding it in one hand and gathering his aura. The terrifying aura of the god of war Zhao Wuji surged and rolled, and then suddenly struck out. Li Xiandao seized the opportunity and thrust his spear forward. It was just a stab. Roar. This thrust was like an ancient, ferocious dragon emerging from the mountains, instantly engulfing the purple-gold armored warrior. At this moment, the purple-gold armored warrior felt short of breath, overwhelmed by the overwhelming aura. His marksmanship, his 7 dragon probes, and his fierce attacks all seemed powerless. This is the aura of the patriarch. The purple-gold armored warrior exclaimed in shock and anger. He never expected that Li Xiandao would possess the aura of Zhao Wuji, who had been dead for many years. "Die!" Li Xiandao said coldly, his spear charging forward relentlessly and fiercely, giving his opponent no chance to react. The evil dragon devoured everything with extreme ferocity. No matter how the purple-gold armored warrior struggled, even with the burst of boundless magical power from the 18 layers of sand, it was all in vain. A long spear pierced his heart, and the force of the impact destroyed his motivation to persevere. The soul is shattered and can never be repaired. When everything was calm and the sky was clear, Li Xiandao stood silently with his hands behind his back, exuding an air of great wisdom. Killing this Hengsha 18-fold level cultivator would have taken him a lot of effort before, but now he doesn't need to. This is the true the master's spear technique, the purple-gold armored warrior murmured. Li Xiandao nodded and said, "This is the spear technique of the god of war Zhao Wuji. Only with such marksmanship can one be called invincible." These were the last words of the purple-gold armored warrior. After saying this, he stood still and motionless. The old Taoist priest swallowed hard and asked, "Boss, can the desolate ancient land still withstand power exceeding the Hengsha realm?" Li Xiandao glanced at him and said, "I broke through after I came in, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get in." The old Taoist priest said enviously, "To be able to break through to the Hengsha realm in the desolate ancient land, you are truly amazing, boss. So, you can't escape now. You'd better do your job properly from now on, or else." Li Xiandao glanced at him and said. The old Taoist priest's face stiffened. Chapter 153 A New Guest. Part 8. After killing the invading enemy, Li Xiandao turned around and returned to the Heaven and Earth money shop. The old Taoist priest also came along. Li Xiandao thought for a moment and then focused on gathering all the people under his command. The second general meeting of Tiandi Qianzhuang, Heaven and Earth Bank, begins. Chairman, Li Xiandao. Secretary, Shao Qi. Attendees, Battle Angel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Fallen Angel Lucifer, Moon Angel Ursula, God of Light Tian Guangming, Monk Tianxin, Wu Xianer, Old Taoist, Lamo, Long Mishu, Chobai. Li Xiandao recounted the events that had transpired, as well as the story of the purple-gold armored warrior, and asked, "Who among you is willing to come with me to the Eternal Land?" Li Xiandao planned to go to the Eternal Land, and not only did he have someone personally take action from afar, but he also sent people to the desolate ancient land to kill him. Li Xiandao remembered this grudge. Furthermore, if Li Xiandao goes to the Eternal Land, he can cultivate at a rapid pace. Including his group of exceptionally talented people, each of them needs to enter the Eternal Land to fully unleash their talents. The Great Desolate Land and the Ancient Wasteland are too remote and cannot receive much spiritual energy from the heavens. They are very barren. The old Taoist priest was the first to stand up, raising his hand and saying, "I am definitely going to the Eternal Land." Li Xiandao nodded. He had to take him with him, as stated in the contract. "We'll all go." Lucifer, Ursula, Michael, Gabriel, Monk Tianxin, Tian Mingguang, Chobai, and Wu Xianer all chose to follow Li Xiandao. Lamo and Long Mishu shook their heads. "They're not going." Li Xiandao understood that Lamo wanted to make arrangements for the Gaoshan people, so he didn't go. Long Mishu had just become empress. It was even less likely that she would go to eternal life at this time. All right, then Lamo and Long Mishu will stay here and manage the Wanlong Empire. If you encounter any trouble, contact me and I will send someone to help you. Li Xiandao nodded and said, "This boundary-breaking blade?" Ramo asked in confusion. The blade of the boundary belongs to Li Xiandao. It's a celestial artifact. Now that Li Xiandao is leaving, he must be taking it with him, right? Li Xiandao shook his head and said, "Immortal artifacts are very valuable, but I have a few myself. You can keep the boundary-breaking blade for your own protection. Also, help me manage the world-class teleportation array. I'll need your boundary-breaking blade to open it later," Li Xiandao instructed. Lamo said solemnly, "I guarantee the mission will be completed." Li Xiandao nodded, no longer looking at them, but instead looking at Xiaoqi. "Now that everything is ready, what do we need to leave?" Li Xiandao asked. He was afraid he might have overlooked something. Xiaoqi said calmly, "Of course you can leave the desolate ancient land, but do you have the coordinates to go to the Eternal Land?" Li Xiandao frowned, only then remembering that world-class teleportation arrays require coordinates for positioning. He is in the Eternal Realm, without any coordinates, so they cannot go there now. Li Xiandao frowned and said, "Then we need to think of a solution carefully." Just like when Li Xiandao first entered the desolate ancient land, he needed someone to help him establish a coordinate system. Xiaoqi smiled slightly and said, "I've taken care of it for you." Li Xiandao looked at Xiaoqi in surprise and asked, "How was it resolved?" "I'll have the Crimson Pocket Watch find a native of the Eternal Land in the battlefield of heaven and earth, have her come in to trade, and then have her help us set up a coordinate. That should do it," Xiaoqi said slowly. "Not bad, Xiaoqi has done a great job this time." Li Xiandao praised Xiaoqi, secretly giving her a thumbs up from below. Xiaoqi saw it, glanced at it, showing neither joy nor sorrow, but the inexplicable upturn of her lips indicated her good mood. "When will this guest arrive?" Monk Tianxin asked. "We're here on our way," Xiaoqi said. Li Xiandao stood up abruptly and said, "Meeting adjourned." The second general meeting of Tiandi Qianzhuang has now concluded. Inside the trading hall, there were only Xiaoqi and Li Xiandao. "Xiaoqi, this time it's all thanks to your meticulous attention to detail. We made arrangements for this guest in advance," Li Xiandao said gratefully. Xiaoqi was very pleased with Li Xiandao's gratitude, but outwardly she said indifferently, "This is my duty." Li Xiandao ignored all of that and wanted to continue praising. It's always better to praise a woman than not to praise her at all, right? Li Xiandao had never been in a relationship, but he knew that praising others would not make them happy, but it also wouldn't make them angry or resistant. Xiaoqi pointed and said, "The guests have arrived. We can talk about this later." It wasn't that she didn't want to hear Li Xiandao's praise, but she was worried that if she were too happy, she wouldn't be able to maintain her aloof persona. She is a cool and aloof Xiaoqi, not the kind of Xiaoqi who gets overjoyed at the slightest compliment. Xiaoqi told herself this in her heart. The guest arrived, and to Li Xiandao's surprise, it was a little girl. She looked to be around 10 years old, with delicate features and a height of about 1.3 meters. She had lost her cuteness and was slowly becoming beautiful. She wore a long dress and walked with a graceful gait, clearly a woman from a prominent family. Li Xiandao sat there, waiting for the girl to come over. To everyone's surprise, after the girl approached, she first bowed and paid her respects to Li Xiandao, then asked, "Grandpa Immortal, is it really possible to exchange anything here?" Li Xiandao's face stiffened. Not only did his face freeze, but his entire body stiffened. What did he hear? Grandfather. Is Li Xiandao really that old? Li Xiandao didn't answer, but looked at Xiaoqi and questioned with his eyes. "Where did you find this little brat?" Xiaoqi shrugged helplessly, indicating that she didn't know and that the pocket watch had found it. "Grandpa Immortal, why won't you answer me?" the little girl asked cautiously when Li Xiandao didn't answer. Li Xiandao was speechless, then said helplessly, "Get up first." We can indeed exchange anything here, but you need to bring out enough treasures in exchange. The little girl slowly got up and timidly glanced at Li Xiandao's mask. In the child's eyes, the mask was very scary. Fortunately, the little girl was strong enough to stand up on her own, sit upright in the chair, and look at Li Xiandao. How could someone so young enter the battlefield of heaven and earth? Li Xiandao asked, puzzled. The girl looked to be only 10 years old, and her cultivation was just at the foundation establishment stage, merely at the opening realm. How could she have entered the battlefield of heaven and earth? I entered the battlefield with my grandfather. Please, divine grandfather, save my grandfather, the little girl said anxiously. When she mentioned her grandfather, she became flustered like a child, and her eyes filled with tears. Li Xiandao asked, what happened to your grandfather? Grandpa is dying. He was bitten by a poisonous snake in the battle of heaven and earth. I couldn't save him, so I smashed the pocket watch. Although the little girl was anxious, she spoke clearly and logically. Your wish is for me to save your grandfather? Li Xiandao asked. Yes, save my grandpa. The little girl nodded firmly. All right, Grandpa Immortal can save your grandpa, but Grandpa Immortal also needs you to do something for me. Do you agree? Li Xiandao gave up on himself and referred to himself as Grandpa Immortal. Chapter 154. Is this fucking a snake? Part 9. Upon hearing Li Xiandao's promise to save her grandfather, the little girl burst into tears. The pressure and fear in her heart dissipated at that moment. She rolled to the ground and kowtowed to Li Xiandao. Grandpa, you saved my grandpa. I promise I'll do whatever you say, I'll do whatever you ask, I'll be very obedient and well-behaved, the little girl said excitedly. Li Xiandao looked at Xiao Qi helplessly. Xiao Qi walked over, helped the little girl up, and said, Don't worry, our fairy grandfather is very capable. Since he said he would save your grandfather, then he definitely can. Right, Grandpa Immortal. Xiao Qi shouted to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao's face, hidden behind the mask, showed helplessness. Faced with the little girl's expectant eyes, he could only nod. Come on, let's sign the contract. You're still young, but thankfully there's no law in this world that says a child's signature is invalid, Li Xiandao retorted. He really didn't expect that the guest Xiao Qi found for him would be a young girl. Xiao Qi took out a contract and showed it to the little girl. The young girl was very anxious. Without even looking at it, she signed the contract. Li Xiandao looked at it, nodded in satisfaction, and said, It's good that she signed it. It's fortunate that she met such a good boss as me. If she had met a heartless boss, the young girl would have been ruined. Grandpa Fairy, please hurry and save my grandpa, the little girl cried. Li Xiandao nodded and said, Don't worry, I'll send a master with you to rescue your grandfather. Li Xiandao cannot enter the battlefield of heaven and earth. There are many restrictions now, and he cannot cross worlds and wander around. So Li Xiandao summoned the old Taoist priest. His most powerful subordinate, and also the most cunning, is this old Taoist priest. Boss, did you call me? The old Taoist priest walked in with a puzzled look on his face, wondering to himself, could it be another mission? Li Xiandao said calmly, This little girl's grandfather was bitten by a snake in the battle of heaven and earth. Go and save her grandfather now. Boss, can we get someone else? The old Taoist priest raised his hand, requesting a replacement. Li Xiandao looked at him without saying a word. I just went with you to face that intruder, and I'm exhausted. Now we have to go out again, which will be a bit tough. I'm getting old, and I can't compare to the young people. The old Taoist priest still had an excuse. Li Xiandao paused for a moment, then said, You'll go with me to face the invaders, but I won't be the one fighting the whole time? Also, this little girl is the key to our entry into the Eternal Land. Without her, we cannot enter. Do you want to go to the Eternal Land? Li Xiandao said calmly. Boss, no need to say anything more. It's not good for the old man's health to rest for too long. I should exercise more. I like this girl so much. Let me go with her to save her grandfather. I will take good care of the little girl. The old Taoist raised his hand, looked at Li Xiandao firmly, and said with righteous indignation. Li Xiandao smiled slightly and said, I need your guarantee that the little girl will not suffer the slightest harm, that you will save her grandfather, protect them, and complete the mission perfectly. You can no longer hide. The old Taoist priest hesitated for a moment, then suddenly remembered that the little girl's grandfather had been bitten by a snake. It was just a snake. What did it matter? The old Taoist priest puffed out his chest and patted it loudly, saying firmly, Boss, don't worry. I will not only protect the little girl and her grandfather, but I will also eliminate the snake that hurt her grandfather. I mean what I say. Li Xiandao smiled mysteriously, looked at the old Taoist priest, and said, Make an oath, but don't just pat your chest to guarantee it. Swear an oath. The old Taoist priest was taken aback, sensing that something was amiss. It's just rescuing an old man, with a little girl by my side, isn't it? Why make an oath? Could it be because of killing a snake? A snake that bit an old man? Do I need to swear an oath? Li Xiandao smiled and said, I'm worried you'll abandon them halfway, so let's make a vow. The old Taoist priest looked at Li Xiandao with some doubt, but still raised his hand and swore an oath to his Dao heart. I, this old Taoist priest, swear to my Taoist heart that I will protect the little girl and her grandfather. If I break my oath, I will never make any progress in my life. The old Taoist priest finished speaking and looked at Li Xiandao. We still need to kill the snakes, Li Xiandao added calmly. The old Taoist priest had no choice but to add, I will definitely kill the snake that bit the little girl's grandfather. Li Xiandao nodded in satisfaction and said, You can leave now. Go quickly and come back soon, and be careful. The little girl immediately grabbed the old Taoist priest and ran outside. As the old Taoist priest walked along, he asked, Little girl, what kind of snake is that? It's a snake, but what's different is that its colors are very bright, all sorts of colors, the little girl replied. The old Taoist priest was relieved and said, A poisonous snake? That's all right. Don't worry, I have boundless magical power and superb medical skills. I can definitely cure your grandfather. The little girl nodded and pulled the old Taoist priest out of the heaven and earth money shop. Inside the trading hall, Li Xiandao watched their departing figures, removed his mask, and smiled. A mysterious smile. Xiaoqi asked in confusion, Grandpa Immortal, why are you smiling so sinisterly? Li Xiandao rolled his eyes at her, annoyed, and said, I'm laughing because the old Taoist priest has finally gotten himself into trouble. What do you mean? Xiaoqi asked, puzzled. The snake that bit the little girl's grandfather is no ordinary snake. If the old Taoist priest doesn't use all his skills this time, it won't be easy to deal with it, Li Xiandao said with a slight smile. The thought of the old Taoist priest who had been hiding all along having to fight desperately for his vow made Li Xiandao feel quite relieved. Xiaoqi rolled her eyes at Li Xiandao and said, Our immortal grandfather really has a lot of weird tastes. Li Xiandao looked at her, waved his sleeve, and a scene appeared. The little girl and the old Taoist priest entered the battlefield of heaven and earth. Do you want to see it or not? Li Xiandao asked Xiaoqi. It's very beautiful, Li Xiandao added. Upon hearing this, Xiaoqi obediently came to Li Xiandao's side, and the two snuggled together, watching the old Taoist priest and the little girl in the scene. In the battlefield between heaven and earth, the old Taoist priest entered this place after paying 20 years of his lifespan. In a boundless mountain, an old Taoist priest, carrying a little girl, flew swiftly. Where is your grandfather? The old Taoist priest asked. The little girl observed carefully and then said accurately, It's in that big lake over there. The old Taoist priest saw that deep in the mountains, there was a huge lake with clear rippling water, surrounded by mountains on all sides, and flowing into the depths of the forest on one side. The old Taoist priest arrived quickly and asked, Where is your grandfather? The little girl pointed and said, On that little island. In the center of the lake, there is a small island, only a few hundred meters wide, on which lies an old man, covered in blood and on the verge of death. "We're going to save your grandfather." The old Taoist priest, carrying the little girl, immediately flew over. Rumble. Just after they flew over, the lake began to tremble, like an earthquake, with huge waves rolling in. The old Taoist priest was startled and sensed something was wrong. He quickly went to the island, lifted the old man up, and prepared to fly away. Roar. A deafening roar erupted, followed by a gigantic figure emerging from the water. Big. It was enormous. It is like a mountain, with a majestic and imposing presence. Forced back to the island, the old Taoist priest trembled with rage. "Is that a snake?" Chapter 155 Am I That Amazing? Part 10. A giant snake emerged from the lake. It was comparable to a mountain, and even a single scale of it was larger than the old Taoist priest. When stood upright, it resembled a straight mountain peak. This huge snake was entirely multicolored. The little girl was right, it was indeed a multicolored snake. The old Taoist priest swallowed hard, looked at the little girl, then at the unconscious old man, and they remained silent. He couldn't resist the urge to slip away. Instinct kicks in, seeking good fortune and avoiding misfortune. "I should have consulted the oracle before leaving the house," the old Taoist priest lamented. He looked at the little girl sitting on the ground, her face covered in tears and dirt, looking so pitiful, and suddenly remembered his vow. The old Taoist priest abruptly stopped his escape and stared intently at the giant snake. He can't escape. But he was worried. What if you can't win? Since breaking through to the Hengsha realm, and even the Dao Saint realm, the old Taoist priest had not made a move. For thousands of years, the old Taoist priest has never made a move or fought. He has always chosen the safest path. Hide. 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 Make way. Make way. Make way. At this moment, he stopped dodging and avoiding. The old Taoist took a deep breath and said, "Great snake, I have no intention of fighting you. I just want to take this old man and child away." Roar. The only response he received was a roar and the stench of a giant snake. Rumble. The giant snake slapped the lake water, splashing up waves that roared and rose more than 10 meters high, threatening to completely submerge the isolated island. Upon seeing this, the old Taoist priest frowned, his anger truly rising. On the deserted island lived a little girl and a dying old man. The serpent possessed such imposing presence and strength, so its intelligence must have been no less than that of a child. But it persisted in doing so, making it impossible for the old Taoist priest to continue living in hiding. "Don't force me," the old Taoist priest said in a low voice. As the giant wave, several meters high, rolled in, the old Taoist priest stared intently at the giant python, his aura exploding, and the aura of the Hengsha realm swept across the entire area. Roar. The giant snake roared in anger. Sensing danger, it became even more ferocious, forcefully stirring up the lake water to kill the 3 old Taoist priests. Rumble. The lake water swept in, covering everything like the collapse of the sky and the splitting of the earth. It was extremely terrifying. "Grandpa, please save us," the little girl cried, hugging her grandfather. The old Taoist priest calmly said, "Young lady, don't cry. With me here, you'll be fine. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of mere lake water?" This time, the old Taoist priest finally stood firm. He no longer wanted to play the victim, or rather, he could no longer play the victim. Facing the surging lake water, the old Taoist priest's aura surged, and he took a step into the air, his body appearing in mid-air. Certainly. The old Taoist priest's face was cold. He uttered a single word, and the world Taoist essence he had comprehended at the Hengsha realm froze the entire massive lake within 100 miles. Even the giant snake was immobilized by the old Taoist priest. But it didn't stay still for long. The giant snake broke free of its restraints, its body coiling up, incredibly huge, as if it were blotting out the sky. But the old Taoist priest was not afraid at all. He threw a powerful punch. Chongqun fist. The most basic fist technique in the Chongqun immortal arts can only regulate a person's body in the early stages. without any other power or function. However, in the hands of the old Taoist priest, this basic fist technique can shake the heavens. Bang! The old Taoist priest's everlasting fist struck the giant snake, producing a sound like striking iron. Clang! Dozens of scales on the snake's body were knocked off by the old Taoist priest's punch, scattering in all directions. Roar! The giant snake roared and twisted its body wildly. Suddenly, it opened its blood-red maw and spewed out a violent stream of multicolored poisonous gas. Grandpa Taoist, be careful. My grandpa was hit by this trick. The little girl cried out anxiously, but she stopped crying. She knew that the old Taoist priest was working hard to save her and her grandfather, and that she had to behave herself and not let him worry about her. The old Taoist priest sneered. Do you even know what your Taoist master's greatest strength is? The poisonous gas descended, spreading continuously and enveloping the old Taoist priest. The giant snake is trying to poison the old Taoist priest, just like the little girl's grandfather did. But the old Taoist priest remained unfazed, moving freely through the poisonous gas, roaring. Your master has such a strong body, immune to all poisons, practically immortal. If you hadn't provoked me, you'd still be alive, but now you're dead. The old Taoist priest, who had always been incredibly timid, suddenly transformed into the true martial emperor of Taoism, conjuring a demon-suppressing sword and slashing fiercely at everything. A sword aura several hundred meters long streaked across the sky, terrifying and permeated with the great Tao. Click. The snake's scales shattered on its belly, revealing blood-red flesh, which the old Taoist priest severed with a single sword stroke. The giant snake instantly split in two, its head and tail separated in the middle, roaring and howling as it fell into the lake. In an instant, the gushing blood stained the lake red. A foul stench filled the air. The old Taoist priest frowned as he landed on the deserted island, looking around in surprise. This was done by the old Taoist priest. The old Taoist priest was shocked by his own masterpiece. Rumble. The giant wave, which had been frozen in place for a dozen seconds, collapsed with a roar, and the lake water turned red and smelled foul. A huge snake carcass floated on the lake, split in two. I'm actually this powerful? The old Taoist priest was shocked by his own words, looking around in disbelief. How could someone who hasn't fought in thousands of years be so powerful? Just now, in a fit of anger, the old Taoist priest felt he needed to vent his rage. Now that he had calmed down, he found it unbelievable. That's not right. If the old Taoist is so powerful, why have I been hiding from him? The old Taoist asked himself, puzzled. He was also amazed by his own previous amazing actions. Grandpa Taoist, please save my grandpa. The little girl cried out as soon as she saw the old Taoist priest standing there in a daze. I'm coming right now. The old Taoist priest stopped his self-criticism and rushed over to treat the little girl's grandfather. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao and Xiao watched the old Taoist priest's outburst together. This old Taoist priest is very powerful, Xiao exclaimed. Yes, I've been saying it all along, he's very powerful, but his personality is the problem. Xiandao nodded. What exactly is his cultivation level? Xiao asked curiously. Because the old Taoist priest concealed his abilities, very few people know about his cultivation level to this day. All people know is that he is in the Hengsha realm. But the Hengsha realm has 18 levels. Which level is the old Taoist priest at? He is at the 17th level of the Hengsha realm, which is the 18th level, Xiandao said with a smile. So amazing! Xiao exclaimed in surprise. Xiandao nodded, which was why he valued the old Taoist priest so much. To cultivate to the 17th level of Hengsha in a desolate and spiritually barren ancient land is an impossible feat, yet the old Taoist priest accomplished it. The great sea turtle, which is even more powerful than the old Taoist priest, is 18 layers deep. But the great sea turtle is a sacred beast and has obtained the Xuanwu inner core, while the old Taoist priest has nothing. Chapter 156 Conversation. Part 1. On the deserted island, The old Taoist priest used his superb medical skills to revive the little girl's grandfather. "Thank you so much for saving my life, Taoist priest." The old man weakly opened his eyes and said with deep gratitude, "It's all right. You should thank your granddaughter. I only saved you because of her," the old Taoist priest said, waving his hand. "Thank you, Grandpa Taoist." The little girl was overjoyed to see her grandfather awaken, and smiled sweetly. The old Taoist priest smiled and said, "No need to thank me. Now that your grandfather has woken up, let's leave this place. Master, could you please collect the inner core of this giant snake? I came here specifically for this one core. Xiaoya's mother has been poisoned and is in a coma. Only the inner core of this 5-colored giant python can save her," Xiaoya's grandfather pleaded. The little girl, Xiaoya, also knelt down before the old Taoist priest. "Grandpa Taoist, please save my mother. We need her inner elixir." The old Taoist priest immediately agreed, picked up Xiaoya, and said, "You don't need to kneel down to your grandfather. You're so cute, I'll definitely agree to your request. You stay here and take good care of your grandfather. I'll go get the inner core." The 5-colored giant python's inner core was inside its body. Now that the corpse had been split in two by the old Taoist priest, extracting the inner core was naturally very simple. The old Taoist priest flew out and quickly returned, bringing back a soft white inner core, which looked like a boiled egg, but was several times larger. "Take this inner core. Now I'll take you out of here." The old Taoist priest reached out and grabbed Xiaoya and her grandfather, and flew directly out of the mountain range. In the battlefield between heaven and earth, there is a dilapidated mountain god temple, which enshrines the patriarch of Taoism. The old Taoist priest brought Xiaoya and her grandfather here to recuperate. Incidentally, the old Taoist priest also hunted a few pheasants and personally roasted them for Xiaoya. While the chicken was roasting, the old Taoist priest also boiled water for Xiaoya to take a bath and change her dirty clothes, making her look completely refreshed. A delicate and beautiful little girl appeared. The old Taoist priest grew increasingly fond of her. Perhaps it was due to his age that he found himself drawn to children, and Xiaoya was exceptionally well behaved. She obediently did whatever the old Taoist priest asked her to do. When asked to take a bath, Xiaoya obediently takes a bath by herself. When asked to take care of her grandfather, Xiaoya quietly takes care of him. The old Taoist priest genuinely liked Xiaoya. Bang! A firecracker exploded in the campfire, making it burn brightly. The campfire illuminated the surroundings, revealing the old Taoist's face, Xiaoya's delicate and beautiful face, and her grandfather's frail face. The three people sat around the campfire, talking to each other. The sky outside had already darkened, and the vast open space was empty and desolate. The moonlight was obscured by dark clouds, and the earth was shrouded in darkness. Inside the mountain god temple, the old Taoist priest kindly asked Xiaoya, "What was your original name?" "Qianya, my nickname is Xiaoya," Xiaoya said with a sweet smile. "This is my grandfather, his name is Tianyun," Xiaoya introduced. "How did you end up in the battlefield of heaven and earth with Grandpa? It's too dangerous." The old Taoist shook his head. Xiaoya had only just established her foundation, which is the pioneering stage. How could she have entered the battlefield of heaven and earth? Xiaoya said helplessly, "If I don't come in, I'll run into trouble. I don't want to come in either. I want to stay with my mother." The old Taoist priest looked at Xiaoya's grandfather, Tianyun, with a puzzled expression. He hit it off with Xiaoya at first sight, and after spending time with her, he genuinely liked the girl. Perhaps because he had never married or had children, the old Taoist priest had never enjoyed the joys of family life. Now, seeing Xiaoya, he felt a strong urge to dote on his granddaughter. Xiaoya's grandfather, Tianyun, sighed. "I had no choice. Xiaoya's father is still missing, her mother has been poisoned and is dying, and Xiaoya is being targeted by others. To save her mother, I must enter the battlefield of heaven and earth and obtain the inner core of the 5-colored giant python. But if I'm not there, Xiaoya will expose herself. In desperation, I sealed her mother and took her into the battlefield of heaven and earth, intending to wait until we get the inner core before returning to save her mother. It's just a pity that the five-colored python is very powerful. I was careless and got poisoned by it, which is why Xiaoya went to such lengths to save me. I'm such a useless grandfather. Xiaoya's grandfather was filled with self-reproach. His cultivation level was also at the Hengsha realm, though not as high as the old Taoist priests, but still at the 10th level of the Hengsha realm. Logically speaking, if you're careful when facing that multicolored giant python, you can escape even if you can't beat it. However, after being poisoned, one becomes weak all over and has no way to escape. One can only slowly wait to die. After Tianyun was poisoned, the five-colored giant python did not kill or devour Tianyun immediately. Instead, it planned to wait for the poison to slowly spread throughout Tianyun's body and penetrate his internal organs before eating him, as that would be the only way to make him a delicious meal. Unfortunately, it was at this moment that Xiaoya brought in reinforcements. Who would want to harm your family? The old Taoist priest asked, frowning. He thought Xiaoya was so cute, especially when she wore pigtails. She was so adorable that it was hard to scold her. How could anyone be so cruel to such a cute girl? The old Taoist priest was furious. Chenya's face fell as she stared at the campfire, utterly melancholy. Xiaoya, who is only 10 years old, is as mature as a little adult. Perhaps she has experienced too many things, which has forced her to mature. Tianyun sighed and said, "It's Xiaoya's mother's family that's targeting us." The old Taoist priest exclaimed in surprise, "A feud between a powerful family." Tianyun smiled bitterly and said, "Taoist, it's more than that. The love between a rich girl and a poor boy led to Xiaoya's birth, which then faced opposition from her family and even being hunted down. She was constantly on the run, and now Xiaoya's father is nowhere to be found, and her mother is poisoned." The old Taoist priest couldn't help but sigh. Reality is indeed far more outrageous than I imagined. "But the child is innocent," the old Taoist priest said angrily, seeing Xiaoya's dejected expression. Xiaoya's maternal grandfather wanted to take Xiaoya away. I don't know what they wanted to do, but Xiaoya is my granddaughter and my child's daughter. Now her father's life is unknown and her mother is poisoned and in a coma. As her grandfather, I must protect her, Tianyun said firmly. "Not bad, you're responsible. Don't worry, Xiaoya. Once I enter the Eternal Land, contact me if you have any problems, and I'll definitely help you solve them," the old Taoist priest said, patting his chest. "Really?" Xiaoya and Tianyun looked at the old Taoist priest with surprise. "Of course, I'm a very strong old Taoist priest. Even if I can't solve it, don't you still have your immortal grandfather?" the old Taoist priest said to Xiaoya. Xiaoya exclaimed excitedly, "Yes, and there's also the immortal grandpa. The Taoist grandpa is so powerful, we all have to listen to the immortal grandpa. The immortal grandpa must be very powerful." Who is Grandpa Immortal?" Tianyun asked, confused. "Don't ask Xiaoya about me and Grandpa Xin. This is Xiaoya's destiny. Just know that we won't harm Xiaoya. If you annoy Grandpa Shen and Xiaoya loses her destiny, that will ruin Xiaoya's life," the old Taoist priest solemnly warned. Tianyun immediately shut up and stopped interrupting. Chapter 157 Call Me Daddy. Part 2. The old Taoist priest was still talking with Xiaoya when he asked, "Now that your grandfather's health is slowly recovering, when do you plan to return to the Eternal Land?" Xiaoya looked at her grandfather. "Of course, the sooner the better. If we can get back sooner, Xiaoya's mother will be saved," Tianyun said immediately. Xiaoya nodded her little head in agreement. "All right, you'll come with me tomorrow. I'll escort you to the teleportation array to the Greatly Land so you can go back." The old Taoist's eyes lit up and he immediately said, "Once Xiaoya returns to the Eternal Land and installs the world coordinates, they can cross over to the other world after the coordinates are activated. If the old Taoist priest could cultivate to the 17th heaven of the 1,000 sands in the desolate ancient land, wouldn't he be able to take off immediately if he went to the Eternal Land? I have something to say to Xiaoya quietly. You stay here and warm yourself by the fire." The old Taoist priest pulled Xiaoya out. Tianyun looked on with concern, but couldn't say anything. Xiaoya smiled sweetly and said, "It's okay, Grandpa Taoist and Grandpa Immortal are good people, they won't hurt me." Tianyun nodded silently, watching the old Taoist priest and Xiaoya walk out of the mountain god temple and disappear. Inside the heaven and earth bank, Xiaoya was brought back by the old Taoist priest. Xiandao, wearing a mask, looked at them. "Greetings, Grandpa Immortal." Xiaoya greeted Xiandao respectfully. Xiandao looked helpless and waved his hand, saying, "How are you? Is Grandpa all right now?" Xiaoya said happily, "Grandpa will be fine after resting for a while, it's nothing serious." Xiandao nodded in satisfaction, looked at the old Taoist priest, and asked, "How did it feel to make a move?" The old Taoist priest said awkwardly, "It's all right." In the path of cultivation, although you are not fighting every moment, if you always give way and hide your true self, you will develop mental problems over time, Xiandao said calmly. The old Taoist priest had a problem before. He always thought he wasn't powerful enough. Although he had reached the 17th level of the Hengsha realm, he was practicing the Chongqun immortal technique, which had no combat power in the early stages. The old Taoist priest believed that even at the Hengsha realm, he still had no combat power. It wasn't until he easily killed the 5-colored giant python that the old Taoist realized how powerful he truly was. A subtle change had quietly occurred in his heart. Although he will still play it safe, he won't play it safe all the way through like before. "Thank you, Master." The old Taoist bowed deeply in gratitude, his words sincere, knowing that Xiandao had put in a lot of effort to help him improve this character flaw. Xiandao accepted the greeting without hesitation, ignoring the old Taoist priest. Instead, he looked at Xiaoya and said gently, "Now that Grandpa the Immortal has saved your grandfather, would you do Grandpa the Immortal a favor?" Xiandao didn't use a contract to stipulate what Xiaoya had to do. Instead, he used his emotions to persuade her. Because he also thought Xiaoya was very cute. The adorable twin-tailed lowly awakened Xiandao's girlish heart. Xiaoya said to Xian in a serious tone, "Grandpa Immortal, just tell me what you need, and I will do my best to help you." Xiandao smiled slightly and reached out to touch Xiaoya's ponytail. "What a cute little girl. Grandpa Immortal, why are your hands so beautiful and so young?" Xiaoya asked in surprise. Xiandao explained, "Because Grandpa Shenxian is a god, that's why his hands are beautiful and youthful." "Oh, I thought Grandpa Fairy was very young. I called him the wrong person. Thank goodness, I didn't call him the wrong person." Xiaoya patted her chest, feeling relieved. Xiandao's face stiffened. Could he take back what he just said? He wanted Xiaoya to call him Fairy Brother, not Fairy Grandpa. But seeing Xiaoya's expression, Xiandao was too lazy to bother her to change her address. "Grandpa it is. Xiaoya, keep this safe." Xiandao took out a stone slab-like object from the void. It was black and white mixed together, and countless marks were clearly engraved on it, seemingly a star map. "What is this?" Xiaoya asked, holding it in both hands. He asked, puzzled. "These are the coordinates. You can put them into your body with your eyes closed, and then take them out by calling out to them with your heart while your eyes are closed again," Xiandao said with a smile. Xiaoya tried it a few times and it worked. Excitedly, she looked at Xian and asked, "Grandpa Immortal, what am I supposed to do with this?" Xiandao squatted down, his dark gold mask facing Xiaoya directly. Xiaoya might have been afraid of Xiandao's dark gold mask before, but now she is not afraid at all. Grandpa Immortal is a good person, a very, very kind person to her. And this mask is so cool. Only a powerful person like Grandpa the Immortal would have such an aura wearing such a cool mask. Xiaoya stared at Xiandao's mask, examining it closely, very curious about what Xiandao's mask would look like. Was it an elderly man with a weathered face? Was he a handsome old man? Is he an old man? Was it an elderly man with disfigurement? Xiaoya's little head was constantly brimming with all sorts of whimsical ideas. If Li Xiandao knew, he would definitely tell her that behind the mask was a face that was irresistibly handsome. It's a face that makes women weak in the knees at first glance. It was a face with an ascetic air. It is the most handsome face in the entire heavens and earth, even the whole immortal realm. It's a face that, once it appears, will cause countless girls to remain single for life. Unfortunately, Li Xiandao had no idea what Xiaoya was thinking. He earnestly told Xiaoya, "Remember, when you return to the Eternal Land and confirm that there is no one or any wild beasts around, take out this coordinate, place it on the ground, and then input the little bit of energy in your body to activate it, and that's it." Xiaoya listened carefully and exclaimed in surprise, "It's that simple?" Li Xiandao nodded and said, "It's that simple." "Are you confident you can do it?" Li Xiandao asked. "Yes." Xiaoya nodded emphatically. Li Xiandao reached out and touched Xiaoya's hair again, saying, "If you accomplish this, then in the Eternal Land, Grandpa Immortal will protect you, and no one will be able to bully you." Xiaoya smiled sweetly and said, "Thank you, Grandpa Fairy." "All right, put away the coordinates and go out with your Taoist Grandpa. He will escort you safely to the teleportation array," Li Xiandao said, standing up. "Goodbye, Grandpa Immortal." Xiaoya waved. Li Xiandao nodded and said, "Goodbye. We'll meet again in the Eternal Land." Xiaoya nodded, took the Taoist priest's hand, and left the heaven and earth money shop together. After they left, Li Xiandao watched silently. "I never expected our fairy grandfather to be so compassionate." Xiao Qi walked over slowly, wrinkling her nose as she spoke. "You shouldn't call me Grandpa Immortal," Li Xiandao reminded him. "Then what should I call you?" Xiao Qi asked curiously. Li Xiandao thought for a moment and said seriously, "After seeing Xiaoya, I suddenly want a daughter." "You can call her Dad." Xiao Qi's face darkened as she stared at Li Xiandao, slowly grinding her snow-white teeth. Chapter 158 Xiaoya's Seriousness. Part 3. Xiaoya and the old Taoist priest returned to the battlefield of heaven and earth, and to the mountain god temple. Both of them were unharmed, and Xiaoya was even quite happy, with a smile on her face. This put Tianyun at ease. "Get some rest. We'll set off tomorrow and get you safely to the teleportation array," the old Taoist priest said. The campfire wasn't strong enough, so the old Taoist added some firewood. Then he sat cross-legged and began chanting the Huang Ting Jing, a classic Chinese text, his voice audible only to himself. Tianyun closed her eyes and began to heal her injuries. Xiaoya is sleeping peacefully on a clean blanket. Nothing happened that night. Early the next morning, Tianyun left on his own, and the old Taoist priest took Xiaoya and set off on his way. Because this was a battlefield between heaven and earth, they avoided crowded places and dangerous areas. The old Taoist priest carried the two of them in flight, which was not strenuous. They kept their heads down and traveled very quickly. It's a pity the old Taoist priest couldn't use the teleportation array to reach the Eternal Land. The difference in world levels was too great. Otherwise, the old Taoist priest could have used the teleportation array to enter the Eternal Land without having to sign any contract with Li Xiandao. The old Taoist priest proceeded cautiously, employing his best skills: divination, fortune-telling, seeking good fortune and avoiding misfortune, and trying to stay safe. If you encounter danger, hide immediately. Once the crisis is over, move forward quickly. And so, to the astonishment of Tianyun and Tianya, the group traveled for a full 15 days without a single fight or crisis. Only after seeing the world-class teleportation array did the old Taoist priest breathe a sigh of relief and proudly say, "These are all my old tricks. If I don't want to fight, then there won't be one." Xiaoya clapped her hands and said, "Grandpa Taoist is so amazing." Tianyun said in a deep voice, "Taoist Master, we are deeply grateful, and Tianya and I will always remember your kindness." "No need, this is all for Tianya's sake. Once you go to the Eternal Land, we can meet there soon," the old Taoist priest said with a smile. "Goodbye, Grandpa Taoist." Tianya waved her hands. "Goodbye, and remember what Grandpa the Immortal told you," the old Taoist priest instructed. "I remember," I will definitely do it. Xianya nodded vigorously. Her little mind was very mature. She always kept her promises. The old Taoist priest watched them enter the teleportation array with a smile on his face, and they disappeared into the battlefield of heaven and earth. Why do I feel like I'm seeing my own granddaughter off? The old Taoist muttered to himself as he watched them disappear. He shook his head, preparing to leave the battlefield and return to report. Eternal heaven. Xianya and Tianyun returned together, and the grandfather and granddaughter immediately left the range of the world-class teleportation array. Xiaoya, what did your Taoist grandfather mean by his last words to you? Tianyun asked with concern. Although the old Taoist priest had warned him, Tianyun was still worried and had to ask him again to feel at ease. Xianya shook her head and said, I can't tell you. Why? Tianyun asked. Because this is a secret between Xiaoya and Grandpa Fairy, Xianya said crisply. Grandpa won't ask what the secret is, but can you tell Grandpa about this amazing grandpa? Tianyun asked in a different way. Grandpa Immortal is indeed Grandpa Immortal. He's incredibly powerful, Xiaoya said after thinking for a moment. Then, between you and your Taoist grandfather, who is more powerful? Tianyun asked. Grandpa Immortal, Xianya said without hesitation. The Taoist priest is an underling of the Immortal. In front of the Immortal, he's like Xiaoya being punished for making a mistake. He doesn't dare to move or disobey the Immortal's words. So the Immortal is the most powerful. Xianya thought about how cautious the old Taoist priest was in front of Xiandao and said firmly. Tianyun was shocked. The Taoist priest was already so powerful, yet in the end he was the subordinate of this immortal grandfather. It was simply unbelievable. Just how amazing is this divine grandfather? So what exactly did Grandpa the Immortal ask you to do? Tianyun asked casually. It must be. Xiaoya almost blurted out, looking at her grandfather with dissatisfaction. Grandpa the Immortal said that this matter cannot be told to anyone. It's a secret between him and me. Grandpa, please don't ask anymore, Xiaoya said with a serious expression. Tianyun quickly apologized. I'm sorry, Grandpa was wrong. I won't ask anymore. Let's go save your mother now. Xianya relaxed and said, Grandpa, don't worry. Grandpa is so powerful, if he wants to hurt me, we can't fight back, right? Tianyun looked at Xianya, speechless. That makes so much sense. Even without this so-called immortal grandfather taking action, the old Taoist priest alone couldn't withstand it. So there's nothing to worry about, Xianya said with a smile. Grandpa was worried about your safety, but you've only just started building your foundation and your cultivation is low. How can you possibly help Grandpa, the Immortal? Tianyun sighed. Grandpa, don't worry, I can definitely do this, and there's no danger, Xiaoya said firmly. All right, you've made something of yourself than your grandfather, knowing all these mysterious big shots. I won't ask any more questions, just one last one. Tianyun held up one finger. Xianya thought for a moment and said, Go ahead and ask, I'll see if I can answer. Compared to your own grandfather, who is more powerful, this fairy grandfather, or the other one? Tianyun asked the crucial question. Grandpa. Xianya murmured, her expression complicated. She looked at her grandfather with a confused look in her eyes, wondering why he had brought up this person. Your maternal grandfather has always wanted to take you away. If your immortal grandfather is more powerful than your maternal grandfather, then you can ask the immortal grandfather for protection. Your grandfather is not capable enough to protect you. As long as you are safe, your grandfather is happier than anyone else, Tianyun said affectionately. Although he wasn't initially optimistic about having this granddaughter, given the significant differences between men and women. However, with the birth of Xianya, Tianyun completely became a granddaughter slave. He was willing to sacrifice himself, but he would never allow his granddaughter to be harmed in the slightest. He can't protect Xianya much now, so he wants to find someone who can protect her. This divine grandfather is the person Tianyun is considering. Grandpa Immortal wore a mask. He was very cool. His body was straight, as if even the sky could not bend him. His temperament was like a mountain, like the sea, unfathomable. Xianya recalled the Li immortal in her memory. I've met my maternal grandfather twice. He seemed domineering and cold, but nothing else. But Grandpa Shenxian is different. He has a gentle and profound temperament that makes people feel warm. Moreover, he is really strong. If I had to compare, Grandpa wouldn't stand a chance against Grandpa the Immortal, Xianya said firmly. Tianyun trusted his granddaughter and said, from now on, Grandpa won't ask you anything. You can make your own plans and remember to protect yourself. Xianya nodded emphatically and said, I definitely will. Boom. But at that moment, a large flag pierced the sky and landed precisely in the ground in front of Tianyun, causing a great commotion. Miss Wenya, the master misses you. A deep voice rang out, startling Tianyun, who turned pale and shielded Xianya, retreating continuously. Chapter 159 The Wan Family and the Tian Family. Part 4. Tianyun protected Xianya, retreating continuously while watching the person in front of her warily. Da-da-da. A somewhat handsome middle-aged man walked over slowly, nimbly pulled the large flag stuck in the ground, twirled it, and pointed at Tianyun, saying, Old man, how dare you bring Wenya into the battlefield of heaven and earth? If anything happens to Wenya, you won't be able to compensate her even if you die 100 times. Tianyun frowned and said, Xianya is my granddaughter. Her surname is Tian, and she doesn't believe in Wen. Yes, my name is Xianya, not Wenya, Xianya replied. The middle-aged man scoffed and said disdainfully, What Wenya is called, is that something you can decide? Tianyun glared at the middle-aged man, trembling with anger. You're only at the 10th level of the Hengsha realm, and you're injured. It's questionable whether you can even withstand a single blow from me. What do you have to protect Wenya with? The middle-aged man said coldly. I will protect Wenya with my life. Tianyun said firmly. Life. The middle-aged man scoffed, shaking his head dismissively. Your life is worthless to me. But your Wen family cannot deny that Xianya has the blood of our Tian family flowing in her veins, Tianyun roared. The middle-aged man's eyes turned cold as he stared at Tianyun, his anger flaring up instantly, his aura fierce and furious. My sister is a beauty of unparalleled grace and intelligence, possessing countless virtues. She was long ago designated as the crown princess and future empress of the Feathered Divine Dynasty, but all of this has been ruined by your son. My Wen family swears to slaughter your entire Tian family to vent our hatred. The middle-aged man roared furiously, his face contorted with rage, looking terrifying and no longer handsome. He is Wan Ming, the second young master of the Wan family, the second brother of Xianya's mother, and Xianya's maternal uncle. Wan Ming, and indeed the entire Wan family, all looked forward to Xianya's mother, Wen Xinyun, growing up, marrying into the Feathered Divine Dynasty, becoming its imperial concubine, and the future empress. At that time, the Wan family, a third-rate family in the Eternal Land, will suddenly become a member of the royal family of the top power, the Feathered Divine Dynasty. This is just like when one person attains enlightenment, even his chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. But. Wen Ming never expected, nor did the Wan family. It was only after sending Wen Xinyun away for 3 months that she fell in love with a man and secretly supported his cultivation for 3 whole years. The entire Wen family was kept in the dark, thanks to the concealment of her maid. By the time the Wan family discovered it, Wen Xinyun was already pregnant and could no longer hide it. Enraged, the entire Wen family, from top to bottom, was furious. However, they did not dare to make a big fuss, and even took the initiative to cover it up, forcing Wen Xinyun to have an abortion and killing Xianya's father, Tian Hen. But they could never have imagined that in just 3 years, Qianhen's growth rate would be so exaggerated. All the people sent by the Wan family were killed, and Tian Hen even secretly rescued Wen Xinyun, which was beyond the Wan family's expectations. This could no longer be concealed, and Tian Hen and Wen Xinyun wandered the world, hiding from the Wan family's pursuit. The Wan family was furious and went to extremes in the chase. Even if they killed Wen Xinyun, they would not let her give birth to the child. This child is a disgrace to the Wen family. For the eldest prince of the Feathered God dynasty, this child was a symbol of being cuckolded. But in the end, Tianhen still shouldered everything alone, fighting bloody battles on all sides, leading the Wen family to fight everywhere, causing a great uproar. Wan Xinyun quietly returned to Tianhen's hometown, found Tianyun, and said she wanted to give birth to the child. Tianyun felt sorry for her son and Wen Xinyan, this ill-fated couple, and could only secretly prepare everything to welcome the birth of Tianya. Until the birth of Tianya. 10 years have passed since Tianya was born. She has grown into a beautiful young woman, and during these 10 years, the Wen family has never stopped pursuing her. Tianhen fought a bloody battle for 10 years, using his own life to hold back the main force of the Wen family for 10 years. 10 years later, Tianhen has vanished without a trace. Some say he was killed by the Wen family, while others say he was crippled. He fought for 10 years, ruining himself, and now he's probably begging for food somewhere. As for Wan Xinyun, after giving birth to Xiaoya, she went out to look for Tianhen, hoping to reunite the family. But every time she went out, she returned empty-handed. On their last outing, Wan Xinyun returned poisoned and on the verge of death. She had no choice but to be frozen by Tianyun, who then took Tianya into the battlefield of heaven and earth to find the inner core of the 5-colored giant python to cure the poison. I have nothing to say if you want to kill all the people in my Tian family, but Wan Xinyun is your own sister. How could you use poison to kill her? Tianyun said angrily. He knew that Wan Xinyun was poisoned by his second brother, his own blood relative. Otherwise, given Wan Xinyun's strength, it would be quite difficult for Wan Ming to win her over. Wan Ming sneered. My own sister? Ever since she shamelessly conceived a child, there has been no one like her in the Wan family. I am her own brother, but she ruined my chance to serve the crown prince of the Feathered Divine dynasty. Shouldn't I kill her? Wan Ming said through gritted teeth. As long as Wan Xinyun marries the eldest prince of the Feathered Divine dynasty, he will be a legitimate member of the royal family. The Feathered Divine dynasty is powerful and has influence in several of the top-ranked territories. With such a vast dynasty, wouldn't the Wan family thrive there? For your own future, you poisoned your own sister. You truly are a member of a powerful family. You'll stop at nothing to scheme against each other, Tianyun mocked. What do you know? What's wrong with a woman contributing to her family through her marriage? The Wan family raised her, so she must repay them. Even if it's not such a good husband as the crown prince of the Feathered Divine dynasty, she must marry even a beggar. Wan Ming said coldly, revealing the bloody and cruel truth of aristocratic families. Women in traditional families are merely tools for marriage alliances and procreation. Men are the foundation for a family to continue its lineage. Therefore, Wan Xinyun ruined Wan Ming and the Wan family's important affairs, which is an unforgivable crime and she deserves to die. Even if Wan Xinyun simply didn't want to marry the eldest prince of the Feathered Divine dynasty, she wanted to pursue her own love. She trusted her own judgment and chose Tianhen, who had unlimited potential. You are too cruel, Tianyun said coldly. I'm telling you all this to tell you that a pheasant cannot be matched with a phoenix. Your Tian family are low-level cultivators, so just obediently be your low-level people and don't dream of climbing the social ladder. The Wan family is not a family you can climb up to. Wan Ming said coldly, striding over to kill Tianyun and take Tianya away. Tianya, run. Grandpa will hold this person off with his life. Tianyun roared, put Tianya down, and rushed forward. Tianya stared at her grandfather's unwavering back, terrified and unsure what to do. Run. With her small arms and legs, where could she possibly run to? Grandpa Immortal. Tianya immediately thought of Xiandao. Grandpa Immortal can definitely save me. Tianya didn't care that Xiandao said they needed a quiet place, and decisively took out the coordinates. Chapter 160 Kneel down, you piece of trash. Part 5. Tianyun attacked the opponent, but because he was seriously injured, he had only been recuperating for more than 10 days and had not yet fully recovered. His fists, his attacks, to Wen Ming, they all seemed weak and powerless. Get out! It's you, you old bastard, who ruined the grand plan that the One family devised and killed countless members of the One family. Now that your son has been dealt with, you deserve to die too. Wen Ming said angrily, swirling the banner in his hand and covering the area. Rumble. The Great Banner is a powerful magic weapon, crafted at the Hengsha realm. Once activated, sand and stones fly, wind and thunder roar, creating a magnificent spectacle. Bang! Qianyun's fist techniques and momentum were powerless against the sweeping banner, and he was sent flying dozens of meters away, crashing heavily to the ground. Puff! Qianyun spat out a mouthful of blood, completely destroying his slightly healed injuries. He looked on, barely clinging to life, and even shouting was quite difficult for him. I told you you're trash, and you still don't believe me? Wen Ming sneered, carrying the large flag as he walked slowly with a victor's smile on his face. You can kill me, but don't kill Qianya. She's innocent in this whole thing, Qianyun pleaded weakly, enduring the pain as she slowly got up. He was in so much pain that his face was contorted and his complexion was deathly pale. Innocent. Wen Ming sneered, glancing at Qianya not far away, and found that Qianya was playing with a stone slab. Wen Ming didn't take it to heart. A little girl at the Pioneer realm, playing with a stone slab, was perfectly normal in his eyes. He looked at Qianyun and said in a deep voice, no one in this matter is innocent. Qianyun stared wide-eyed at Wen Ming in disbelief. Don't look at me like that. Wenya knows nothing, but her birth brought her original sin, which will stay with her for the rest of her life and cannot be washed away, Wen Ming said coldly. Qianyun said in despair, you're her own uncle, you want to kill her? Uncle? Wen Ming smiled elegantly yet perversely, staring at Qianya who was still playing with the stone slabs, his eyes burning with anger. Without her, I should be by the side of the crown prince of the feathered divine dynasty, stepping on most people, enjoying the good things that power brings. I could even use power to improve my cultivation, and countless resources are waiting for me. In that case, I wouldn't be any worse than those so-called geniuses. Wen Ming said resentfully, it's all because of her. Because of her birth, things went to extremes. The feathered divine dynasty no longer paid attention to our Wen family, and our partners kicked us when we were down. The Wen family fell into ruin, all thanks to her. Wen Ming stared at Qianyun, his expression becoming frantic. Tell me, was she born with original sin? Wen Ming said with a sinister smile. Qianyun was stunned. He knew that Wen Ming had gone mad, and the entire Wen family had gone mad. Old man, you're already in great pain and seriously injured. I don't need to help you. You'll be dead in a few days. I'll show you what it feels like to lose a loved one. Wen Ming laughed and walked towards Qianya in a maniacal and arrogant manner. No! Qianyun roared weakly. You can kill me, just spare the child. Qianyun cried out in anguish. Wen Ming stopped, looked at Qianyun, and suddenly smirked, saying, fine, kneel down for me, and shout 3 times that I am a piece of trash, and that everyone in the Tian family is trash. Qianyun stared in shock at Wen Ming, whose demeanor was strangely sinister, completely at a loss. You won't kneel, huh? Wen Ming's face darkened, and he turned and strode towards Qianya. Bang! I'm a piece of trash. A desperate roar, weak and hoarse, made Wen Ming stop in his tracks. Ha ha ha, not bad, you're a piece of trash. 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 Wen Ming laughed maniacally, pointing at Qianyun kneeling in front of him, feeling extremely pleased. Keep going. Keep shouting. Shout that all the Tian family members are trash. Wen Ming urged excitedly. He desperately wanted to hear those words. Hearing those words, he reached his peak, climbed to the climax. Qianyun's eyes were filled with despair, her lips trembled, she opened them, closed them, and finally decided to shout them out. There are no useless people in the Tian family. A young voice rang out first, filled with unwavering determination. What did you say? Wen Ming was just about to reach his peak, his climax, when Tianya's shout interrupted him. Like a lone wolf, he stared fiercely at Tianya, wishing he could devour her alive. I'll talk. No one in the imperial family is useless. Tianya's face was tense, her eyes filled with anger, burning with rage. She stood firmly, staring at Wen Ming. Even if Wen Ming is very fierce, tyrannical, and cruel at this moment. But Tianya remained steadfast. My grandfather is not a good-for-nothing. My father is not a good-for-nothing. I, Tianya, am not a piece of trash. Ha ha ha. Wen Ming burst into maniacal laughter, pointing at Tianya, and suddenly transformed into a vengeful ghost, roaring, Do you know who you're talking to? Killing you is as easy as killing an ant for me. You, a mere young girl pioneering the land, dare to spout such nonsense? Are you tired of living? Wen Ming strode towards Tianya, saying a sentence with each step, his face cold and full of killing intent. Rumble. A surging aura, like a god of death, rushed towards Tianya. At this moment, Tianya was like a blade of grass in a storm, swaying in the wind, yet still firmly rooted in the ground. I know why you're so angry. I also know why you forced Grandpa to say that the Tian family are all useless. Tianya stared at the pressure and gritted her teeth. Wen Ming stopped in his tracks, staring at Tianya with a dark look in his eyes, and said angrily, What are you saying? I've heard my mother talk about it. Tianya suddenly laughed. Although she was only 10 years old, she was incredibly charismatic and charming. 10 years ago, you were full of vigor and led a team to kill my father, but he slaughtered them all. Tianya said, word by word. Wen Ming's body was trembling. This isn't fear. This is anger. This is anger. This is a demon that has been suppressed for 10 years. Shut up. Wen Ming roared, wanting Tianya to shut up and not reveal what happened back then. Tianya burst into laughter. Back then, my father forced you to kneel down and shout that you were a piece of trash, and that's why he spared your life. Everything you're doing now is nothing more than a coward seeking comfort. Die! Wen Ming roared in fury, his anger erupting instantly. As if he had teleported, his 5 fingers formed a claw, his nails sharp. He was going to kill Tianya. Bang! However, Tianya reacted even faster. She knew that Wen Ming would be furious after she said those words, so she immediately channeled all her strength into the world coordinates beneath her feet. Rumble. The world coordinates trembled and burst forth with tremendous light. A man with a body as tall as a javelin appeared, wearing a dark gold mask, his hands behind his back, looking at the charging Wen Ming with cold eyes. Kneel down, you piece of trash. Xiandao let out a cold shout, his aura as imposing as an ancient divine mountain, crashing down fiercely. Bang! Wen Ming was hit so hard that he coughed up blood and fell heavily to the ground. His knees cracked as he knelt down, spitting out mouthfuls of blood and staring blankly. He knelt down in front of Xiandao.